So we'll be starting with this SVGs. Okay, so first of all, I'll just basically make a web page and show you that when we normally we need to insert a lot of pictures and graphics and vector images in while when we are making web pages, and a lot of times those vector files are very heavy. Some might even be be in the size of tens of 20s or MBs, and they take a lot of time to load the page, right? So there are a lot of solutions. You can resize the image, but it gets pixelated, and I'll just show you uh, what are the problems that we face, right? So this is my sample HTML page that I have. All right, and I'll insert a sample image in this. So yeah, this is my sample image, right? And the size is, I think, around 15 MBs, as you can see. So just notice once, how much time does it take to load. If you can observe, it took around 3 to 4 seconds to load properly. And even if I resize this, see, um, it still takes time to load because essentially, the file is around 15 MBs large. And this is a sample vector image. Now, what are the possible solutions? One solution is that, you use a file of relatively less size, but that won't be of a much. Within the HTML file, as it's written over here in extension to your HTML file, and it can also be scaled up or down without losing any of its resolution. Okay, so this is the key. It can be scaled. Resolution. The image does not get pixelated since it is a vector file, and the other benefit is that the pages become very much faster because there is no such image file that will take time to load. All right. So how do we do? How do we make SVG files and insert them in our pages? I'll just explain. All right. So for the sake of time, I have loaded my Figma, and I'll just show you a sample. How we can create a sample graphic and insert it within our HTML file. Okay. So I'll choose desktop since I'm making a website. Okay. And we can easily create maybe a rectangle or a circle or any other shape for that matter. But you can also create those using CSS, your normal CSS. So I won't go into that. What I want to try though is if what if we want to make a curve, a random curve, and which is basically tough to make in CSS, and how we can do so by by making use of SVGs and vector files, and using Figma, because Figma gives you the direct code for creating your SVGs within your HTML file, right? So let's just draw a random curve. So let's say I write qubit only. Okay, sorry, my bad. No. Let me write qubit only. All right. Okay. So yeah, this is my basically this is nothing but a vector, right? Because I can either use this as an image, as a separate image, or I can either use this as a vector. So if I go to the design panel, right, I see various options, and then I see the export option right over here that I can use for exporting. And within the export option, I get option to download it as either a PNG file or a JPG file. I get to download it as a PDF, or I get the option for SVG. So since we are interested in SVG, we'll click over here and I get the option to download two layers, right? Because when I wrote qubit, uh, that's one file, and this dash is a separate file, right? So we'll download them separately to make things more clear, right? So I'll export vector 4. I'll click on export vector 4, and this will get downloaded as a .svg file. Notice this: we get a .svg file. So right. So I'll just open this up, and you'll see, it's a proper vector file that we have. And even if we zoom in, it does not get pixelated because, of course, it's a vector file. All right. Then again, we'll export this dash as our vector 5 file. All right. And even this does not get pixelated because, of course, it's a vector file itself. Okay, cool. So now, if we open these if we open these vector files or say SVG files using our code editor, we can see the code.
और में ऐसे भी चलता है चैनल कोई इवेंट चल रहा है
Excuse.
Tech Blazer. Sorry. Yeah, he muted himself. Paarth, you can continue.
Cool. Right. So this is the SVG code that we get with the file itself, and it's nothing but basically an attribute, right? As we saw before, it's an XML file that we use in we use it with the in addition to our local HTML file, and it's an attribute. And within this attribute, we have various parameters with height, viewBox. ViewBox is something that we are particularly interested in. We'll touch upon it later on. But yes, let's just observe the different values that we get. Okay, so within your SVG attribute, we have the path tag, right? So we define something called as D. These, to my knowledge, a parameter for the curves that we are going to draw or that are there. It denotes the curves, and D as well as M. Right. We won't go into details because it's out of scope for now. But let's just observe, the values that we get. So these are all just vector positions, nothing else, right? So as you can see, a lot of values defined, and a lot of work to define all these values is saved by online tools such as Figma, or if you search for any other tool, right? If you just search for, say, SVG making tools, you'll get a lot of them. So you can make your own. Okay, let's try this one out. Right. So this is our sample figure. This is for an image. So we can just edit this. We can launch the app and edit this. We won't go into that. But using these online editors like Figma or any other random one, we can create our own SVG files. All right. Let's get back to the code editor. So just observe the number of values that we have, and just appreciate how much time we save. Once these values end, the vector values end, we get the stroke. Now what is the stroke attribute? It's basically the it's basically to define the color of the vector graph, right? So if it's black, it's black right now. What if I change it to green, right? And I save the file. If I open vector 4, it will show a green qubit. Just a moment. Yeah, see, it gives me a green qubit. If I change it to say uh, blue, and I save it and reload it, I get a blue qubit. And stroke width is basically to define the boldness or the width of the of what we have written. So if I turn it to say 30 from 3, it's going to be much more bold. Just observe. Okay, so it's so linear right now, but you know can you see? So yeah, that's how it works. I'll change the default to default. All right. And stroke line gap is something which we don't which we don't need right now, but yeah, as you can see, it's 2793 columns long, but a lot of our work is saved, right? All right. So what we need to do right now is copy this SVG tag, and we'll replace it with this image file, and we'll paste it as it is. And when we save it, and when we reload it in our HTML file, this image will get replaced with the vector, right? And when I zoom it in, I don't get any pixelated value, any pixelated image, because it's a vector, right? Vectors don't get, vectors are not based on pixels. Vectors are based on, the literal mathematical vectors that we study. So the resolution are not defined by the pixels. All right. Okay, so I'll just show you how we can.
Paarth, 1 second. Just sorry to interrupt you. Let's
That's
have
it.
a giveaway now.
Sure.
So, guys, how it will work is, yeah, I'll be sending a Google form link in the event discussion channel in a while. And what you have to do is, all you have to do is just fill out that Google form. And to make sure that only people who are attending the session will get it, I'll be telling you a small code that you'll have to put in the Google form, and only then you'll be getting the you'll be eligible for the giveaway. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, cool. I'm sending it in the event discussion channel right now, and yeah, just fill it out, and we will be making we'll be seeing if you're there till the end of the session, and only then we'll be considering you for the giveaway. So just keep that in mind. And you have 3 minutes to fill the form. Now it's 6:25. I'm going to close the form in 6:28. So please fill it by then.
We find the form.
And the code is 7314. I repeat, the code is 7314. You have 3 minutes.
Where can we find the form?
Sorry?
It's in the event discussion.
Yeah, event discussion text channel.
Can you repeat the code?
7314. You have just 2 minutes left, guys. Hurry up, fill the form fast. So just 1 minute, guys. Fill it fast. So last 30 seconds, guys. I'm closing the form after this. Fill it ASAP.
Hello, sir. So what was the code again, sir?
You are. I don't. So the code is only. I think you weren't online when I told the code, right?
Sir, I was there, sir, in the channel, but I had to cut it again because I wasn't going back. I couldn't go back on that screen.
Acha, cool, cool. It's an exception. I'm giving you 7314 is the code.
Okay,
And
sir.
yeah,
Thank you.
we'll be making sure that only people who have stayed till the end will be part
Yes, sir.
of the way. So yeah.
7314.
Hmm.
Okay, sir.
Cool. I'm closing the form. Yeah, Parth, sorry to interrupt you. You can go ahead with the session.
Yes, let's continue. Okay. 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 So yeah. So this is my initial one, and I'll need to obviously put a dash over the T's, right? So let's open our vector 5 file. All right. This is my dash file, and notice that how short it is, just for the fact that it's just the dash and not a very big curve like the word we wrote before. So I'll select it and I'll paste it here again, save it, and let's change the color to say red. All right, close this one. All right. Notice the dash comes over here, and obviously we won't want to put it over here. So yeah, there's this issue of positioning the file. How do we position the files, right? So for that, we get the attribute viewBox. ViewBox is somewhat similar to our Flexbox, but ViewBox is something that we get to use with our SVG tags. So how does it work? I'll just show you with the help of an online tool. Okay. So just notice the values that we have over here. We have the width, we have the height, and then we have the viewBox values, and there are 4 values in the viewBox. All right. So we have this online tool called, which we can basically use to see how does viewBox actually work. So it describes like this, x and the values are basically in form of x, y, in order of x, y, width, and height, right? So x and width are the same thing, and y and height are the not the same thing. Sorry, but they are in relation to each other, right? All right. So we get the width and height as 100 and 100, and the x and y are the coordinates that we use to position the element. So if we move it like this, if x goes positive, then it moves to the left, and if x goes negative, then it moves to the right side. Okay. And for the y, if we go into the positive direction, it goes up, and if we move it to the negative direction, it goes down. Okay. For the width and height, notice if we what if we increase the width and the coordinates remain the same? We are essentially increasing the span of the graph. Let's assume it to be a graph, right? Because we get 100 by 100 graph. I'm assuming that it will scale down for the pure fact that we are increasing the size of the graph, as you can see, right? And same, for the height, if we increase the height, the image will scale down, and since the vectors are the coordinates are unchanged, it will be scaled down. Okay. Then I can play around with the coordinates to set my position of the x and y. Cool. Right. So using these values within the viewBox attribute, we can position our SVG files inside of our main document, right? So let's just play around with the with the uh, with the values. Okay. So I'll remove the initial width and height, or better if we just use an online tool to to get the exact values. This is one of the tools that we have. It's from a YouTuber. I'll link down to this tool in the event discussion later on. But let's just use this tool to get the values for our viewBox attribute. Okay. Right. So we currently have the x and y coordinates as 0. We have the width set to 1034, and the height to 400. What if I play with the y coordinate? If I increase the value, it will go up. If I decrease the value, it will go down. And similarly with the x coordinate, if I move it to the positive side, it will go left side. And if I move it to the negative one, it will go right. Whatever I increase the width, the vector will scale down, right? Like that. And what if I increase the height? The height of the total element, right? The total element gets increased. We don't have any effect on the file itself. All right. Let's reload to the initial one. So what do we want to do, right? We want to place this bar over the T, right? So I think what I have to do is, essentially increase its height and move it left. Okay. So I'll increase the
ఇక్కడ ఎవరో ఏదో నేర్పిస్తున్నారు.
participants are please requested to stay muted. Thank you. All right. So for the x coordinate, I'll set some value, say 30, and for the y coordinate, I'll set some value to say 60, right? And if I reload this, notice what happens. It gets disappeared. for the pure fact that the viewBox, the viewBox for the qubit vector and this one vector, they both over. So we'll check what to do using this tool. All right. Okay. So we'll check the values using this tool. We'll drop our vector 5 in this. All right. And then let's play around with the width and the height. Okay. And I want it to be over here, right? Yeah. Notice how it gets disappeared, after this value, because the height is very low. It's only 21. If I increase the height, and then I have the liberty to change the y and y coordinates because I have more span, I have more space. See, right? So I'll copy this value and let's just try if it happens. If it does not, then also there's no problem because we are essentially just trying to see how these parameters affect the main vector value. All right. Okay. And I'll remove the height and the width because then that limits our options. Okay, so we need to take this above. So I can increase the height, but that sends it above, so there's no point. But I think this is enough for a demo, right? You just need to place it over here and play around with the values, and you can check out these tools that are available. They are really great, right? For testing various parameters that we want to check, and you can play around with the height and the width and the x and the y coordinates and understand how to place or how to position your images better, your vector files basically. All right, so that is it. And if you have anything to ask, you can unmute. Anyone has any questions? You can unmute. Shashwat, do you want to take over?
Let's just wait for like 1 or 2 minutes so that more people can ask. If anyone has any questions or anything, you can just you can ask them now. I think you can stop streaming.
All right.
Anyone has any queries? Cool. Thanks for joining, guys. And actually, we have one more session coming up at 7 o'clock, where we'll be talking with Shambhavi Shah, who is currently working at PayPal and as a IC3 engineer. So to attend the session, you can fill out the Google form which is there in the event announcement ka channel, and you can We'll also be sharing the YouTube live link in a while. The session is at 7 o'clock today, so feel free to attend that. And we'll be announcing the winners of the giveaway in a while in the event discussion channel.
Okay, thank you for joining, everyone.
Yeah,
It was
thanks for
great
joining,
having
guys.
you.
Hope you learned a lot. Yeah.
Sandeep, did you record? Okay, cool. Yeah, सही है.